Hello everyone, welcome to another recap video. Remember to like and subscribe. Roberta, in a long-forgotten language, implies one who causes innumerable people pain. She has killed wild beasts, mighty hands, and as a result, she lived up to her reputation, but when no one is aware that she showed up. Regardless of her motivations, she's one of the most powerful explorers in the what would occur if she did not. Fell in love with a commoner all of a sudden. The fact that she is getting married to him is absurd for a woman to act in such manner and begin leading a normal, everyday life of a typical homemaker. This is Joyful and Angie, the spouse of Roberta. Are you coming? She often gives him a perplexed face, accepts everything that she says, sure, wherever with him, and always complies. She can't look away from him. She regarded him with the utmost respect. The most appealing man on the earth is apparently a man's charisma drove her insane. It's typical for me to linger thus long on him, but I can't help but stare at him. She was lying on the rooftop on a nice day. I'm unsure if this is a typical life. I have no idea what the phrase implies. I've only engaged in combat and seeking. If adventure is that common, she questioned. Her stomach rumbled as a result of my failure. She became aware that she had been lying there for some time and she was now famished. Suddenly, she had the thought. This is it. She did a fantastic job. Performed a somersault and landed on the roof. Her strong legs did jump down onto the earth. Leaping from such an object won't cause any damage. After all, normal life is a height. I'm going to surprise you with nothing. Gratified with a tasty home-cooked supper, she thereafter entered the kitchen to place, putting her magnificent scheme into motion. For a few minutes examining the hub, I was unsure. What is it used for? How does it even work? When you turn on a switch, the same thing. She examined many jars with unidentified fillings but didn't comprehend. I'm not even sure what these items were for. Here's a pot that obviously has holes in it. Why even retain a holy pot in such a state of decay? Finally, only now in the home, Roberta acknowledged that she lacked a moment. She knew she was a cook. As loudly as she could, she screamed, "My life. Wait, a housewife is about to end. Until this point in my life, I tried and eventually discovered some food. I haven't," she thought as she began to recall, where she ate and ultimately, everything. She had been dining at bars all of her life. Taverns there always had hot food available, so she could drink without having to consider about cooking. What a life. I made an idol. The others take care of me completely and I did nothing, so of course I must do it myself. I'm a strong man. After that, the warrior started to aggressively seek a solution to her problem. Preparing the lunch, she examined that there is a couch in every room of the house. But then she realized where the table. Having done so, she opened the cupboard and claimed that she had discovered what she pulled out her as she was searching for hefty swords she had used in killing dozens of creatures. Dear friend, miss me. She was more self-assured now, and when she was outside, a cow was helpless. Grazing calmly and soundly beneath the sky was clear and bright, yet her tranquility was disturbed very soon, and now she could not decide between peace and ass in her presence. With her sword, the powerful warrior stood. She was so tall behind her back that there was a little calf next to her. Angbota observed her carefully, focusing on her eyes, finished eating grass, and used her tongue to lick her nose, and Roberta grinned and expressed her amusement. Cow was more at ease. I'll take a moment to distance myself. A second, and you be okay. Take care. All right, of the home, she bid farewell. The cow and continued her journey. After she returned, she got right to work, and her spouse arrived just as she was about to finish. Came returned exhausted and in a bad mood. A little lightheaded due to fatigue. Nada realized right away that what's that smell? The house smells great. Roberta didn't anticipate him to smell or coming back so soon. She was terrified. She assured that she will finish everything. She was preparing food, and her husband retorted, "How wonderful. I was surprised to learn that you could cook." Astonished when he saw what she had prepared, and his spouse claimed it to be a snake's head. Colossal lizard captured specifically for you. I worked so hard, spent all day in the kitchen. Give it a shot. How do you feel about the husband with the stockpile? Began the lunch, and how good it tastes. I can hardly hold it. It's worse than it seems. I'm about to puke. What her hubby ate, frantically gnashing his teeth as he chewed the most repulsive thing he could. If he told her, he would crush her heart. He spoke the truth while crying. Was excellent, which made his wife happy. Extremely content, she expressed her delight and claimed it was dragons are quite rare during times like these. I've heard they're delicious. If you remove the meat's toxin, I can add an additional tail to your meal. If you must be pretty hungry, the hubby remarked. Then he thought about how to tell her the truth. She believed she would realize if she tried it. He told her fib and declared it to be tasty. I'll take it. Bon appetit. She was leaving to devour both that dragon and her spouse. Believe he was merely attempting to retain her safe, but he ultimately injured her. She was ready to sample a slice of and discover he was lying, this meat, because the taste was very horrible. She finally took a bite and thoroughly chewed it. She gulped it down. That's a good lunch. For the first time, I'm in shock that I having now that her husband was skeptical of her even taste the food a massive dragon was eating. Rises atop the remains of a former temple, and a ball driver is standing in front of it. She is sure she can take down. Her muscles are as stone hard as a monster, and the dragon's sword is razor sharp. Shouted loudly before continuing. It summoned all its strength to fight it. Started to breathe crushing flames, everything in its way besides the fighter. Able to recover, she moved swiftly after. Went towards the creature to attack it. Made a stunning leap by the way. Now it was obvious that she was downing heels. It was a tremendous leap. She was effortlessly able to fly to the having wielded her sword. The dragon's head is now should have ended, but it actually did. She merely made this out of her dream. Her spouse believed that she was snoring. He was just dozing off with the dragon. Girl was joyfully strolling through that her father had given her some money to, and told her she could buy anything with it. She was thinking as she wandered around, about what she wanted, and then all of a sudden, had made her decision. What a lovely apple. It appears to be a photo of mine. She chose this apple displayed as her picture book. She informed the vendor that she wished to purchase it, but thereafter she became so terrified that she wanted to purchase something in her presence. A towering, commanding woman stood before the youngster. Had never seen such women before. The woman yelled as she often did, but she didn't plan to hurt the young girl, though was still terrified and began to move swiftly to leave the location, and the tall woman yelled after her. It's an excellent decision, but she wasn't happy with it. Just wanted to be, not frightened. Like everyone else, I sincerely apologize. Satisfied, but once more no one made any purchases. Maybe working with me wasn't the best choice. But her husband, who encouraged her, informed her not to put herself in her place. It's always initially challenging. The key factor in our making you want to buy is the goal of business. And comfortable here, Robert stated that her face changes when she is anxious. She has cramps, but her husband claims she is. Perhaps we can simply practice not overreacting. A tiny bit. And it will grow to be more familiar to you. Recalling it should be the happiest time of your life. Help, and she began recalling times when I tossed the skull of the leader at the monster army and witnessed the dread. She grinned as they looked at that memory, and her spouse remarked, "Can you think?" I thought a little more when I took a bath in the dragon of hell's blood, killed with my own hands, along with her husband said that wasn't it as well. Was the most memorable thing about our wedding? A lovely day, and she suddenly remembered. She smiled pleasantly at the wedding. I knew you had a beautiful smile. After a brief moment of recalling the wedding, it appears that she cut her nose. She began by thinking of her wedding night. She then tried selling, while heavily exhaling. Using the same smile, she sold things. Ultimately began to prosper. She believed it was simple to adjust to, and an elderly elf greatly impressed her. Grandma approached her and took one fruit and inquired about the price. A piece of mango costs 5 gold pieces, and Kubota responded, 5 gold, I believe we can. Come to a consensus, that's what it had to be. For the grandmother, it was expensive, said she'd trade 5 for 20 gold coins. However, the warrior didn't comprehend. What the elder meant seized her attention.